Hey there. I'll make a little video here about my confusion, I guess, but I'm going to title it Los Gatos Police in California giving me the runaround. So, a few months ago now, I've been steaming about this, sorry. Someone hit my fence on my property. Knocked over like 25, 30 feet of fence. So, this person, my neighbor, anyway, hit and run. So, concerning a hit and run, California Vehicle Code 20,002. The driver of any vehicle involved in an accident resulting only in damage to any property, including vehicles, shall immediately stop the vehicle at the nearest location that will not impede traffic or jeopardize the safety of other motorists. And that driver shall also immediately do either of the following. 1. Locate and notify the owner or person in charge of that property of the name and address of the driver and owner of the vehicle involved, and upon locating the driver of any other vehicle involved or the owner or person in charge of any damaged property, upon being requested, present his or her driver's license and vehicle registration to the other driver, property owner, or person in charge of that property. The information presented shall include the current residence, address of the driver, and the registered owner. If the registered owner of an involved vehicle is present at the scene, he or she shall also, upon request, present his or her driver's license information, if available, or other valid ID, to all parties involved. So, road accident, people are there, everyone pulls over, exchange information. It's law. Can't just take off, or it's a hit and run. So let's say it's on private property. Here goes number 2. If you can't seem to find anyone, you must leave in a conspicuous place on the vehicle or other property damaged a written notice giving the name and address of the driver and of the owner of the vehicle involved, and a statement of the circumstances thereof, and shall, without unnecessary delay, notify the police department of the city wherein the collision occurred, or if it occurred in an unincorporated territory of the California Highway Patrol. And then there's B, which is like any person who parks a vehicle, which prior to the vehicle, again, being driven becomes a runaway vehicle, needs to do the same thing. I think you put your car in park and you don't, and it goes careening down some hill. Anyway, so, we got 2002A, 1 and 2, and then B, which is the runaway vehicle, and then C. Any person failing to comply with all the requirements of this section is guilty of a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor. And upon conviction thereof shall be punished by imprisonment not to exceed 6 months, or a fine of $1,000, or both. So that's a hit and run. Got that? Resulting only in damage to any property, including vehicles. Must locate and notify the owners of the other vehicles involved and exchange information. If no one's there, they must leave in a conspicuous place on the vehicle or the other property damaged a notice giving the name and address, blah, blah, blah. So if you don't do that, it's a hit and run. And it's a misdemeanor. So, call the cop out. Los Gatos Police Department, motorcycle cop, what's up, man? And he said there was nothing he could do because it took place on private property. So I've been stewing about this for a while. It was like a month ago or something. I called and asked to talk with the supervisor. The supervisor basically told me the same thing. It's on private property. There's nothing we can do. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. That's about it. So last night into this morning, called in again saying I want some officers to come out so I can file a report about a hit and run. Come out, give me the same runaround. Basically, they can never really answer my question. I have it all on video, but it's kind of long and they're jerks and they just don't want to help me out. I don't understand. Like, they won't help me out. One of them mentioned something, and I talked with a friend tonight who's an officer, and he mentioned the whole misdemeanor thing, right? Any person failing to comply with all the requirements of this section is guilty of a misdemeanor. Felony hit and run is when you actually really hurt someone, damage someone physically, kill someone, vehicular manslaughter. Felony hit and run, much harsher penalties, of course. But no one was hurt, only property damage. So it's a misdemeanor. I found this really weird. Misdemeanors and infractions. Legal requirements for an arrest for a misdemeanor and an infraction. In the presence requirement. In the presence requirement, misdemeanors and infractions, based on traffic ticket or whatever, must have occurred in the officer or private persons, in the case of a private person's arrest, present. Jackson v. Superior Court. In the presence defined. In the presence defined. In the presence is commonly interpreted to refer to having personal knowledge that the offense in question has been committed, made known to the officer through any of the officer's five senses. So the officers always tell me, they were telling me like, well, it didn't happen in my presence, so there's nothing we can do. The two reasons they said they wouldn't take a report from me. One is that it happened on private property, and the second was that it was a misdemeanor, and they need to be there to see it. Doesn't make sense, but there's this whole private persons, like a private citizen's arrest. I know I can do that in certain cases. But if you ever do a private person's arrest, you better make sure you fucking mind your P's and Q's, because if you're fucking wrong, they can in turn take you to court. So those are the two reasons that I received from several different officers in the Los Gatos Police Department about why they would not make a report or help me out or anything. So it's curious about this in the presence defined. Knowledge, commonly interpreted to refer to having personal knowledge that the offense in question has been committed. Personal knowledge. Made known to the officer through any of the officer's five senses. Can't you just tell an officer then? Wouldn't he be hearing you? I don't understand. So that one's a little weird. There must be something I'm missing, because basically, unless an officer sees it, hears it, or something, there's no crime, right? That's kind of what that's telling us. Something's weird about that. But the whole private property thing, let me see here. Not just yet. I'm getting from this legal website here, talking about California hit and run. It doesn't matter whether the accident occurs on a public street or on a private property, like a privately run parking lot. The same duties apply in either case. But I've constantly been hearing that a police officer will not take a report if you, hit and run in a parking lot, private parking lot. So failure to provide your insurance is a whole different infraction. It's just an infraction. So, I don't know, the whole misdemeanor thing, hit and run, blah, blah, blah. So you got all that out of the way, right? My neighbor comes in, hits my fence, doesn't tell me about it, doesn't give me any information, until a little while later. He admits to doing it, but never gives us any information, never, does anything. He did not do everything he was required to. Any person failing to comply with all the requirements, okay, not just saying I did it, I didn't get any information from him. The other thing the officers were telling me that, well, it's not your property, it's a civil matter. So the property owner has to, make the charge, you know, like the property owner has to call the police and want to charge them or something like that. I'm like, how the hell can my property owner call them and make a charge when he wasn't even here? Right? So it's also, I'm reading here, the person in charge of any damaged property. So since I'm a renter, you know, I'm the person in charge of this property. So yeah, that was the other thing. Sergeant Langer, Los Gatos Police Department. I'm not the property owner, so I can't call the police and protect anything here. That's what she told me. So basically I can just go driving into a bunch of renters' places and stuff and just be fucking up their shit and whatever. And they can't call. And then of course if the officer's not there, because it's only a misdemeanor, then there's nothing that can be done, right? Is that what I'm being told here? The whole private property thing, I don't understand. Police won't even take a report on hit and runs. Ridiculous. Are you even helping us out? So, rambling a little bit. Let me close with this. I don't know what it was, a few weeks ago now or so, maybe a month. Come out, ready to go to work, warm the truck up. Go back inside, and on my way I notice my other vehicle is scraped from bumper to bumper. Driver's side. Both doors dented in. White paint almost from head to toe. Another hit and run. Yes, another hit and run happened overnight. I have no idea who did this one though. I have an idea, but whatever. At any rate, not even thinking about the previous jerks that I had to deal with, you know, with the original hit and run and the fence. I called the Los Gatos Police Department and asked for an officer to come out, take a report. Not even thinking really. It's really weird. So a community service officer comes out. I don't really know what the difference is. This guy takes pictures, takes a report, takes all my information down, and we file a report. I got a case number, etc., etc., or incident number, or whatever. So tell me what the fuck is going on. Okay? In one instance, they won't do shit for me. In the second, they take down all my information. In one instance, I know who did it, and they did not comply with all of the requirements in order to not be a hit and run. In the second instance, same thing. I have no idea who did it though. But they take a report. I don't know. Thanks a lot, Los Gatos Police Department. Thanks for my neighbor who has 15 misdemeanors. 13 years living here has been fucking wonderful. Los Gatos Police Department. You guys are the shit.